And this strange guy calls me from Vegas poker table saying, I'm busy right now playing poker. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Welcome everyone. We're really excited to kick off the very first episode of our video series. My name is Victor. I am the co-founder and CEO of Onova, and I'm joined today with
Ron. Hi, I'm an innovation consultant at Onova.
We are a innovation consultancy and product studio where on the consulting side, we help Fortune 500 companies basically build innovation cultures that last by running and facilitating things like innovation sprints, hackathons, and incubators. And then on the product side, we build out software products like a hackathon management logistics platform, but also we're diving a lot into generative AI, building out our own AI poker coach. But without further ado, we have a very special guest with us today. Really excited to have Brad Hadfield, who is a client originally of ours that has become a very close and dear friend. So couldn't imagine somebody better to have for our very first episode. But with that, Brad, we'd love to pass to you to introduce yourself.
My name's Brad Hadfield. I met Victor and Ron about a year or so ago. I was working at Bank of Montreal, BMO, in the Toronto area, but I'd heard some good things about Onova and reached out to them and got to know Victor and Ron through a project that we worked on together. Recently, I've taken a sabbatical, an extended sabbatical from BMO. My family has picked up and moved to Switzerland. We've just relocated in August, which was about 6 weeks ago now. And my life has turned upside down. And right now I'm a stay-at-home dad and adjusting from the fast pace of working in technology my entire career to focusing in on family and all those things that keep a household running.
Tell us a little bit more about your technology career and your journey, particularly through BMO as well.
I worked at Bank of Montreal before there was email, before there was an internet, and was at BMO while these things started to be introduced, including the first websites and things like that. So in around year 2000, I decided to go back to school, did an MBA. After I graduated, I had various roles. Eventually, I made my way back to Bank of Montreal, and I got to work on and lead projects and teams that actually worked on some of those applications that I started my career on. So it was sort of a homecoming for me. Really enjoy my time at BMO. I think it's a great company with a great culture. And terribly excited about the last 5 or 6 years that I've spent at BMO.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about today was, in fact, the Destination Digital, which, for those of you who don't know, is BMO's hackathon that they ran last year. How did you hear about Onova, and how did you actually get in contact with Victor?
I've spent some time thinking about different aspects of my life, and there's just, timing is just great. During COVID, I worked in the same floor of the house as my wife did. She worked at another company. You probably haven't heard of it. It's called McDonald's. And I watched their company host this virtual hackathon. It was exciting. Like, I'm down the hall doing my banking. She's down the other hall making burgers and fries. But you could see kind of the overlap of bringing people together to, not just champion new ideas and develop great products, but it's also solving problems and really helping people connect. So it made a big impression of me, and I was that kind of fly on the wall, so to say, at that period of our times during COVID. Fast forward about 6 or 8 months, I was meeting with senior leaders about how do we inspire our people, how do we bring people back to the office, how do we reconnect. I presented this idea after listening to some of the problems that we were seeing and that we were trying to solve. And I said, like, look, why don't we try this concept of a hackathon? And it got people's attention. And it was a blend for us of not just bringing people together, but if we had to, host it virtually, we knew we could be successful doing that as well. So how did I meet Victor? I asked my wife, can you get me the name of this company that runs your hackathon at McDonald's? And I gave Victor a phone call, and this strange guy calls me from Vegas poker table saying, I'm busy right now playing poker. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, but I'll be in Bali in 3 weeks, so I'll call you from there. And that started off a very international relationship between myself and Victor, who's a very driven and focused person, but has lots of balls in the air.
Thanks a lot, Brad. And I remember those early calls. But I remember as well when we decided to do this thing with Destination Digital. I was with my partner in Bali, and it was a really exciting time for sure. Yeah, I would love to dig into more. I mean, you are effectively like a co-founder or founder of this Destination Digital experience at BMO. And even this, I think you kind of covered it in passing, how you just sort of saw this idea and you brought it to leadership. I think many others will, at large Fortune 500 companies, might have potentially a fear of bringing new ideas to leadership, or maybe unsure about what ideas to bring, and potentially the risk involved. So can you speak a little more to what was at stake in bringing this idea in your mind? Was there things at stake, and kind of really what led you to bringing this about? Because it ended up being a lot of extra work that you were doing on the side to kind of make this all possible on top of your day job.
I'm always looking for new ideas. So once I understand my job and it becomes kind of a routine for me, I'm always looking to see, how do I optimize a process, or how do I make this better for the next person? So in my role at BMO, a lot of that to me had become second nature. And like I said, a little bit about timing. It's about seeing an opportunity, being at the right place at the right time. I had pitched the idea of the hackathon 2 other times, and it was just not received in the right kind of venue, or at the right time. And the person I was pitching it to back, I think it was November 2021, had a problem, and they were trying to solve a problem. And I said, well, this might seem kind of far fetched, but what do you think about this idea? And that person loved it. And the person I was working with was a great change agent inside the bank, someone that I didn't know very well at the time. But that was the person that knew how to get people's attention and get things moving. And together with, I sort of had the concept of the idea like a founder. That person really knew how to make things work, and they had a problem that they were trying to solve. So, sometimes it's timing, and it took on a life of its own, but it was a lot of fun.
I mean, that's super interesting. I actually had no idea that you had pitched this hackathon idea a couple of times. So can you talk a bit about what that experience was like, and especially it sounded like it maybe wasn't as well received the first couple of times. Was that before we had met?
Yeah, it was before we met, Victor. So I had seen this hackathon idea, and for me it was just cool. Like, it was just a really cool event. Cool as in I wanted to participate. Like, it was something that I wanted to do. So, whether I was creating it or being a participant in it didn't matter to me. I just thought it looked like a really cool way of getting people away from their desk, away from their day job, and allowing them to innovate on problems. And with a lot of ideas, you kind of you shop them around, and I shopped them around to different people in my organization. And a couple minutes ago, I said there was someone with a problem, and I think that's when you can really have the most change. And the problem that we were having was with our people. How do we engage people? It wasn't about getting them back to the office. It was about, how do we create connections with people? And I described my job before about being, accomplished a lot of different things at BMO, but it's really the people and the relationships that you build. So when someone said to me that one of their mandates was to look out for people, quite frankly, I forget exactly how it was phrased, But, you know, that just kind of came second nature to me. And I put myself in other people's shoes and said, well, you know, what would I like to do? And I'd seen this work and I thought it was really cool. And I thought, you know, we could really make a huge impression on people, not just innovation, but bringing people together to help them think and have a lot of fun.
I mean, that experience that you described is so similar to entrepreneurship as well, even outside of a large company, where so much of it is just listening for opportunity, trying to match pain points and opportunity to potential solutions. And at the end of the day, a lot of it is just about timing. Maybe you're timing the market too early, or maybe you're too late. But I love that, and what's really inspiring for others, I love that you kind of stuck through it. You had a belief in the value of a particular solution, and perhaps this like elements of like failure when you pitched that first couple times that didn't discourage you. So having that grit as well to continue pushing through and waiting for that right timing.
What I say is, if you fast forward 8 or 9 months down the road, what we actually put on and what we pulled off, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it was having that faith that you were kind of going to get somewhere and achieve something. Sometimes, you know, I don't know that I would call it a high risk, but it was you have to kind of believe that what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish is for the greater good, and you know, it's going to work out in the end. We don't know how exactly.
Yeah, and one quick follow question on that is we've had in instances with other clients, for example, that feel like when proposing and launching a brand new initiative at this scale, especially, is they're partially putting a bit of their reputation, or maybe a lot of their reputation and career on the line. Did you ever feel like that at BMO? Did you feel like there was potentially a chance of maybe failure that could really negatively impact your career? Or how did you kind of like mentally process that aspect of the risk?
It's a good question, not one that I've really thought that much about. So I'd say no, I didn't think it would negatively impact my career. But I'll say it like this: this was my extra thing. This is my go above and beyond thing. So I was still doing my day job. As I got to know you, Victor, your partner, and the team around Onova, the professionalism and the experience that you guys brought to the table was what my home run was. That was the part where it's like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. Oh, this is very structured. This works very well at a bank. Everything is organized month by month, week by week. If we don't start this now, we're going to have problems in 3 months. That resonates with me. That resonates with a lot of bank people. So no, I didn't think of it of a lot of risk, especially at the beginning. As we had some different challenges going through it, mostly on our side, not on the Onova side. Technology integration was a huge one. Yeah, those things made me nervous, but my name was kind of on the cover, so I felt accountable for making sure that this was going to get done one way or another. So you had your plan A and you had your plan B, but in the end, we were really thrilled with how it all came out.
We did not tell Brad to say that, by the way. But thank you, Brad. That's a really great transition, actually, to our next set of questions.
We talked about the planning process that we had, and it was probably over in the end, like over a 6 month period, but it definitely like ramped up towards the end in terms of the final 3 or like 1 month leading up to the event. Just want to personally ask you, like, what aspects of that process, like especially during those like Wednesday opco meetings that we had with the team, like what did you enjoy the most about that?
I had a day job. But by the way, everybody on our committee, there was about 12 of us, have day jobs. We were all volunteering. We were all these were all people I didn't know, by the way. They're all people from different areas of the bank. And what I learned about the people of our opco was that they were all very keen to try new things. What Onova brought to the table was the structure. And we needed that. We needed Onova to not only explain how to do it, but also to run the approach, the hackathon, and get us up to speed. The rest of us were busy doing our bank job. and we could afford to spend 1 or 2 hours a week meeting, making decisions. But Onova would come to the table with, here's what we need to do this week or this month. These are the decisions. Hey, by the way, Brad, you've haven't got me to the decision on this from 2 weeks ago. If I don't get that, you're in trouble. Like, you guys were driving, but you also had a plan. And it's one of the things about working with a partner that's done it before, that has experience. Every company is a little bit different. Everybody's going to want to put their own little twist on things. But Onova comes with a plan, and they were very frank with us and said, well, yep, you can do that if you want to, but we highly recommend you do not do that. Don't have, we would talk about challenges. Don't have 10 challenges, have 8. We're like, come on, what's it going to be? It's just, 2 more ideas. We've got all these ideas pouring in. Can't we do? And it was like, no, we've done that. We've done it before. It's just going to be too much.
Just for the audience, we talk about the OpCo, which was kind of the operating committee assembled on the BMO side. But Brad, you mentioned that a lot of these folks were completely new to you. So maybe can you talk about what it took to kind of like assemble the right players and stakeholders at the table to really make sure that we could move fast through this process, and what that was like?
So I'm going to give credit to my partner who I had pitched the idea to. I didn't know all these people. And that was the sort of the special sauce of what that person, I had this idea. I approached Onova and said, okay, what do you think about doing this? But there's a people aspect of it, from getting the right people. So we had communications people. We had people that were great at making decisions, people who knew how to network through the bank to find us the right judges, to find us the right volunteers, to find us challenges that were going to resonate with our senior management, things that we were worried about in the moment, not something that was so far off or something that we've already solved for. So, that OpCo and the people that I met in that were people that were positioned or volunteered based on, networking. At the end of the day, it was, we've got this idea, we're looking for some people, and a lot of times people would say, sure, we'd love to help. What do you need? And then we'd come back with a list. We need someone to help us with vendors. We need someone to help us with communications. We need someone to help us run a website with web design. So these are people that we would network into and pull out. And some people, had the time, and other people didn't, and they would volunteer someone else, or find someone to help us. But yeah, it was a big volunteer experience. It was all above and beyond for everyone.
What long-lasting impact or legacy do you think Destination Digital had on BMO?
I'm going to talk about 2 aspects of this. One is the what it left and where it missed its mark. So what it left was a real sense of community collaboration. People talked about it and still continue to talk about it. I get asked, when's the next one? I want to participate. How do we get a challenge in it? How do I get my team involved with it? How it was received by our participants, our judges, and our panels was the most memorable thing about Destination Digital. People talk about it, they're proud of it. From wearing little pins and t-shirts, people look back and like, why can't we do that again? When can we do that again? And that sort of vision, that sort of experience was the thing I think left the biggest mark on BMO. I think the thing that we missed on, and it was predicted, but we had so much work to do to pull off this event. The thing I think we missed on was translating the ideas into function. And the best way to describe that was, we had challenge sponsors. These were the people that we had gone out to say, is there a problem that we can solve for you? Is there something that we can help you with customers, with employees, with the environment? What is it that we can solve for you? Where we missed, and we had talked about it, but it was it was sort of growing pains, I'd say, was getting a good commitment from people that they would follow through and launch something from what we did. I think we, quite frankly, surprised a lot of people with the results that we got out of Destination Digital. They weren't prepared for these great ideas. And in companies, you need people and money and investment in order to realize these ideas. So, one of the shortcomings I think we had was how we translated these things into something you could see in front of the customer. Did we achieve that? Yes. But I think it was through some heroics of like one or two people really pushing an idea or saying, I've got that, let me take it. I've already got a team built. We're going to slide it in here. I think if we were to do it again, we'd have a bit more of a contract or a commitment from our challenge sponsors. We will work on your challenge. We can't guarantee that we're going to solve it, but if we do solve it, we had 50 teams, I think, when we ran Destination Digital, it boiled down to a top 10. It boiled down to a winner. And if that winner stands up on stage and presents a great idea and gets voted that they won, we have to do whatever we can to make sure that gets tested, that gets tried.
Yeah, that's a really great point, Brad. I think there's the employee engagement aspect of the event, but very much another focus is on this innovation side, generating real promising products and services. And that's a very common challenge across many companies. One was getting the level of commitment and buy-in from the sponsors, which hopefully in turn also comes with funding. Are there any other, I guess, challenges or things that you think doing this again, like you would do differently or really look to have in place when really trying to optimize for that basically hackathon prototype to end customer product?
One of the things I worried about was diluting what the primary objective was. And in year one of Destination Digital, our primary objective was about people, connecting, collaborating, uh, getting that sense of innovation as part of people's jobs. The second go around at Destination Digital, I think, would be focused more on delivery. How do we take great ideas? We know we're going to get great ideas. We know we're going to have a great event. We know we're going to have a lot of excitement. How do we marry that with launching these things or piloting these things or turning them into teams that can take them and try new things? So, one of the things I think that we benefited from, but I also think that we need to stay aligned to is this concept of having a major theme or a major goal. And year one was around collaboration. I could see as we have this 9-month, hackathon or innovation sprint that we did at BMO. Once people sort of saw it, once people got involved with it, we had to turn people away. We had to turn ideas away. We had to turn teams away that wanted to help, or can we try this, or can we do this? And it started to dilute itself at times. So you had to stay to your mission. That's why it's sort of like, well, yeah, our objective was to bring people together, collaborate in an innovative way, and do our best to launch something. And people would come along and say, yeah, well, I've got this great site that we want to try. Can we try this with Destination Digital? Or, what about this vendor over here that we're working with? And you'd learn that they haven't signed the right contracts, and you'd spend all sorts of time. So you had to kind of fend off a little bit what we were trying to accomplish. But in the end, a great event. People got excited. Lots of people, I think, got more excited as the event went on and got into it. And it wasn't without its challenges. It wasn't without its disappointments. But in the end, there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of fun.
And what's great is that you had that vision. As an entrepreneur, you didn't just look at this as like a one-off thing, like, hey, let's get everything that we want to accomplish in this 1 year, but you had this multi-year almost journey sort of pictured, and knowing that, like, okay, let's at least focus and year one, let's get like, this is our minimum viable event or product. Let's make sure we've got the foundation down and we solve the core problem. Then let's look at adding the additional features. How do we continue to kind of like grow upon this? So I love the way you described it, Brad. Like, what are some pieces of advice that you would have for other entrepreneurs or people who want to do something similar, whether it's launching an innovation sprint or a hackathon or getting any new initiative? Do you have any tips or advice for those listening in?
I think that there's a form of a hackathon that could be used annually, semi-annually, to engage people. It doesn't always have to be a great big one. You could do it with a lot less, maybe a little bit more frequency. Ultimately, the concept of what we were trying to do was get people away from their desk, give them something fun and interesting to do with new tools, to meet new people in the organization, to collaborate in a different way, and really to expand their network. Doing that with new tool sets, doing that with new ideas, new visions, with mentors and different panelists. It was about creating something from nothing. And I think that part of Destination Digital is what I think remains at this point, with all these different people, the 400 or 500 people that were all involved. It's all percolated through the organization in different ways. And it encourages people to it's not take a chance, but to stand up and to, offer their opinion and to collaborate in different ways so that, we can better help our business, our organization, our employees, and our customers.
I think you really captured one piece, which is at a minimum, the event really drives this excitement and this engagement, where the risk at the end of the day ends up becoming quite low, because like you said, there's no shortage of ideas at big companies, and having this opportunity to kind of share those ideas in this sort of open forum and even compete is just a really exciting opportunity. Brad, what's next for you? So in sort of bold entrepreneurial fashion, you picked up your entire life, your family, your kids, moved from Toronto to Switzerland very recently. What's next? What's next for you, Brad?
I'm taking 6 months or a year to spend time with my family. I've been given this great opportunity to relocate through a job relocation of my wife. We've been fortunate enough to move to Switzerland, which is a beautiful place, beautiful country, but I am a homebody. I have not traveled a lot. This is my first time in Europe. When you grow up in the Toronto area, you have access to so many things on the East Coast of the US. We spent a lot of time as cottages. It's a big culture change for me. So the next 6 months, I'm sort of reestablishing what it is to be without a full-time job. And there's things about this I love, and not having a schedule or having to have meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning is fantastic. But there is something missing, and it's easy for people to tell me what it is. It's a lot harder for me to figure it out. But I've spent my entire life in finance planning for retirement. I'm semi-retired, and now that I'm here, I better understand why people never retire. There's something about having a purpose and finding out what that is. And people have lots of ideas for me, but I don't know that any of them sound the right thing for me. And part of it is I do want to spend time with my kids and be there for my wife, who's got a new challenging role. But there's a gap, and trying to figure out what that is.
It's not easy. You're kind of reinventing yourself at this stage and taking this bold next step. But I mean, we're really excited to see where you go next in this journey. And Brad, we just want to thank you so much again for your time being part of this.
Thanks, Victor. Really appreciate it. Ron, thank you as always. Cheers.